You may see in the title how long is yours. Don't worry, we're not dropping pants and doing any comparison this morning. What am I on about is I got an email last night about my book. Now this is quite an emotive topic, particularly with tradesmen. And this usually creates a bit of debate and a bit of great discussion for both sides of a construction project to hear. For clients to hear and for trades to hear as well. So the email I got last night was about my book, which if you haven't got a copy, you can get yourself one at www.constructiontrainingacademy.com/book. So you can go and grab a copy there. But the email that I got was, I sent out an email to my list the other day offering the book at a discount. And the email I got back to that email was, how long is it? How long is your book? And I was kind of like, what? What has that got to do with it? Anyway, I answered the guy, told him how many pages it was. But then I had to get into I had to understand why he wanted to know that. Why he wanted to know how long the book was, because it's kind of irrelevant. It's all about the value that's on the pages, not how many pages there are. We put so much value on how long something is to determine its worth. Like a training course. How much is your training course? How long is your training course? It's 1 day, it's 5 days. And then we put a value to that duration. The value goes into the result that you get. The value of the book should be relative to what it's worth in terms of value. Ditto the training courses. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, particularly for your trades, or in fact all clients, how you would approach this particular thing. Not about the book, I'll come on to what I'm on about in a minute. But that book only has to have one thing on one page that could literally change your business. And that has got fuck all to do with how long the book is. With your projects in particular, I say I've done this video before, and it always gets a bit of healthy debate. With your projects, well, let's say that you value a piece of work, you value a result at £1,000 because you think it's going to take 4 days. Thank you, Dennis, much appreciated. You think this particular piece of work is going to take 4 days, you value it at £250 a day, so you work out that it's going to be £1,000. This piece of work is going to cost me £1,000, then you go out to market and you buy it. You buy that piece of work, you employ a contractor to come and do that piece of work. Now, let's say that contractor comes in and does that work in 2 days. You've still got the result that you wanted, that you valued at £1,000. That doesn't mean that it's now worth £500 because he did it in half the time. You're paying for the 20 or 30 years that it took the guy to learn how to do it in half the time. That's what you're paying for. You don't know that he didn't turn up at 6 a.m. and then still working until 8 p.m. and then maybe brought in another guy as well in order to half the time to give you the result quicker. But yeah, I see so many clients go, well, it only took him 2 days, I'm not paying that. But it's not about the time, it's about the result that he got you. That's the thing, that's what you're buying. And when I get challenged with this, because it does come a lot, and in fact I once got challenged this at a public speaking event, whilst on stage somebody called me out, and I was like, mate, you're fucking wrong. Anyway, that is my humble but accurate opinion. So when it comes to buying that result, that's what you're paying for. So my challenge back would always be, in the event of that challenge, my challenge would be, if it took him 10 days, will you pay £2,000? Because that's the same thing. If we're saying that he's done it quicker, it's half the price. If it takes him longer, can we double the price? The answer to that latter is usually no. So we've got to always measure and value the result that the service or product gives us in terms of a result and not in terms of how long it took. When do I pay for my refurbishment work? This is a common question that I see get asked in various portals. Look at my hair now, short. Looks like my head's on upside down. And I want to tell you a little bit about my background and how this came to be. Not this question, but this issue that I used to have. So in my corporate days, I'm going to call it, when I was a site manager stroke project manager, not knowing when the business should pay and the reasons behind that really used to piss me off. When I was a tradesman, not knowing when I was going to get paid for a particular project, that used to piss me off too. But in my corporate world, my job was to drive production, just to get the job done. And then when somebody internal to the same organisation, the quantity surveyor usually, would put a stall on that payment because some box hasn't been ticked or some form hasn't been filled in or some sort of date's been missed, used to really piss me off, used to really frustrate me until I understood the reasons why. And now understanding the reasons why is one of the reasons I do what I do, is to teach this stuff. And understanding what your payment terms are on your projects. I've done this video before, but I got a bit of shit for it. When I've finished work, I want paying end of, and that's fine. And that's what this is about. That's what I want to talk about this morning. So when I say, when do you pay? On a refurbishment project, we've got client on the one side of the fence that's paying for work, and we've got a builder and trades on the other side of the fence delivering work, getting paid. Now, both sides of those fence have got different expectations before the project starts. Your builders and trades want paying as quick as possible, sometimes on the same day, which is okay, I'll come on to that. And you as clients want to be paying as far in front as possible, so delaying the payment as long as possible. You can see already there's a gulf being created here. Now, somewhere in the middle of that, the twain shall meet. And somewhere in the middle of that, you're going to find an ideology, a common ground where you say, yeah, I'm happy with that. You might finish 7 days, 14 days, 28 days. Or if you're mad enough to get into the public sector, it might be 90 days. Fuck that. So these payment terms are critical for you both sides to understand before the project starts. You've got to know when your supply chain, your trades, your builders expect to be paid, and they've got to understand when you expect to pay them. Now, there's going to be approach is the wrong word. There needs to be approach is the right word. System. There needs to be a system in place, a procedure. That's the word I'm looking for. A procedure in your business, in your refurbishment business. If you're the developer or the client, you need to have an approach, a procedure that you're going to execute. Just an example. This off the top of my head now. This is not what I do, but this is something that you must consider and have in place and communicate it. So it might be that someone finishes work on a Thursday. You've agreed 7-day terms. So within them 7 days, something's going to need to happen. You're going to check it, signing it off, getting warranties, getting certificates, whatever them things are. And when you've found out all that is, that starts to become your procedure, your approach to paying. And you've got to have this, or what will happen is, if you don't have a procedure, you don't have an approach in place, tradesman has one expectation and you have another. Sometimes, and it'll happen on this thread, people will comment on here, I guarantee it, when I finish work I want paying. And that's okay, as long as you communicate that up front. There will be people in here that say, investors, clients will say, I'm not paying it until I've checked it off, until they've finished everything and it's checked off, and that's okay too, as long as that's communicated to the guys working for you. So this communication, this relationship, this procedure, this approach to getting paid is fucking critical for you to understand before you start work. Following our progress on this barn purchase stroke conversion, that's what I want to share with you this morning. A lot of talk in the property world at the minute about how hot the market is and how stuff's going for over asking. Well, our experience of this yesterday is truly stunned and amazed me. So we was in for a plot. You may have heard me talk about it. It was a house with some detached barns on the land, and it was in 20 acres of land. And that particular project was priced by the agent for the whole site. He had it valued at 750.
750k, which we had private investment finance lined up to make half of the purchase. We was putting half in, and the private investor was putting in the other half for a fixed return on their money. Now, that's not what I wanted to talk about. So the agent did a really good job of driving our offer up. And we finished up with a final offer of 840,000. That's what we ended up at. And when that offer got put in, the agent's exact words to me were, "Paul, you've got the vendor's attention." They were his exact words, when he was like, "Fucking yes, we're in. We're now going to get this opportunity. We're in." Yeah, Thursday was trading Friday, so it was Thursday. I didn't hear anything from him after the bank holiday on the Tuesday, which kind of surprised me, so I called him yesterday. The guy's accepted an offer of 1.2 million. And he was like, fucking hell, how has that gone for, how has the guy added 400 grand on top of the initial, our offer, and then another 90 grand on top of the estate agent's valuation. So the estate agent valued that thing at 750, and they've took an offer of 1.2 million. And yeah, we know that the market's red hot right now, and we know that stuff's going for over asking right now. I'm seeing a lot of folk shouting from the rooftops about people don't know what they're doing, and people are offering over market value. Now I'm kind of looking at this now from a different perspective. And what if that's an opportunity? What if there's a spike about to happen, a boom about to happen in the market, where that 1.2 million is actually quite cheap when you compare that to what it's going to be worth in 3, 4, 5 years? Of course, no one can predict the future. I just try and look at these things from a different perspective as to why this is happening, like everywhere. It's not just in my area, this is everywhere. I'm hearing it on little single dwellings that are on the market for 80, and people are paying 100. And people are then shouting from the rooftops that they've paid 20 grand over asking. Now, the different perspective being, well, what if that's worth 120 in 6 months without touching it? Yeah, it's a gamble. The guy's still making 20k. Some will view that as, well, he's lost 20 because he's paid over the asking by 20. But if you don't pay over the asking, he's not going to make the 20. So in both scenarios, he makes 20. So what we're looking for, if anybody on here knows about any of this, or knows of any opportunities like this, we're looking for barn conversions in significant plots of 4 acre plus, or the opportunity to build a new barn on some land in the Lincolnshire area, the whole of Lincolnshire, or let me get this right, the southern half of North Yorkshire. So sort of Hull and East Riding, Beverley, that area. Then over to the west a little bit. Appreciate that was a bit loose, but that's what we're looking for. And I hate that phrase. I hate the phrase cowboy builder. However, I gotta say, she was about to do this, this customer. So they'd hired it wrong. They got a quote in off a guy to deliver an extension on top of a concrete slab that was already there. Used to be a garage. The garage had been demolished, and this cowboy, again I hate that phrase, this guy that was going to do the work had put in a price, and she just asked me to take a look at it and would we be interested in the job. So for a learning perspective, I went to look at this job. Morning, James. And this guy that had priced up this extension, the price was really, really fucking low. And I was like, price of materials these days, there's something not right here. So we started walking the job, and I asked him for some building regs drawings, which he didn't have. I said, so what's the detail that's happening here? Various parts, there's drainage in the slab and all sorts of different things, different bits and bobs. And the customer was very much, well, I don't actually know. The guy just said he was going to build it. So he gets out the guy's quote, and the guide said, excuse me, in his quote, he wrote in there, no allowance for foundations and footings, which says to me that he's going to come straight off the floor that is there now, which you can't do. So either one or two things was going to happen here. The guy was going to build it straight off the slab, which was wrong, and that would have been him getting some building work done that wouldn't have passed building regs, it wouldn't have sufficed, it wouldn't have been right. Or, good morning my dear, or he was about to get fit up, stitched up by this guy that was going to start and say I didn't allow for footings and now I need to put it in, so it's going to be extra. One of the two things was about to happen there. From a homeowner's perspective, I completely understand that this person was massively exposed here, in that they didn't know either of those things was about to happen. They didn't know what should have been done. So what I said to the guy was, look, we can put a price in, but it will be based on a set of proper drawings that you need to get. These fag packets that you have are no good. So the guy's gone away now to get some proper drawings and be able to go out and get his proper 3 prices and the proper price comparison across the board, rather than having some guy saying he's just going to start throwing masonry up off the top of a garage floor slab for an extension, which wouldn't work. Morning. That is a tricky situation for the homeowner to find themselves in that they don't know what they don't know. And that taking this guy's word for it, he's coming at a really good price. I say a good price, he's coming at a really low price, which has exceeded the expectation of the customer. You know, the customer's gone in with a sort of it's going to be this, it's going to be 40k, and this guy's coming at 22. I said I wasn't going to say the numbers, but that's what they were. They get a little bit excited, but I'm just thankful that they realise that, hold on a minute, that's a little bit too cheap. Let's go out to the market. Let's go out to the market and see what this guy's on with.
Snowflakes. Absolute snowflakes, and penises and pennies, and I'll come on to that. So for those of you that are registered for anything, or you've ever been on our website and registered your details, you get emails off me daily. And an email I sent out a couple of days ago has upset a bunch of folk. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. When we became a part of this world full of fucking snowflakes. The email was talking about a relationship between a man and a woman. And somebody told me that I should be gender neutral in my emails. Gender neutral? What? I don't even know what that is. There is one cold hard fact. I am male, and there are females in this world that exist. That's it. I don't even know what gender neutral means. How can I be gender neutral? I'm either a man or a woman. That's it. End of. And that is what I wanted to talk about this morning. When we became a part of this world where this can possibly offend someone. How can that possibly offend someone? It is absolutely staggering to me. The story I told between a man and a woman has got, there was no intent to offend. It wasn't offensive in any way, shape or form. So it staggered me. And then, so just don't be a snowflake. And if you are a snowflake, do me a favor and unsubscribe from our list instead of just responding and giving me shit, because I don't need to hear from you. If I offend you by talking about men and women, then there's an issue here. I use this word a lot as well. Tradesman. That's just language that I use. It's not intended to offend, and it's not sexist in any way, shape or form. I know that there are female people in the trade space. Tradesman is just a term that I use, but I've been called out for it as well. You shouldn't say tradesman, it should be gender neutral. Then I would suggest unfollowing the emails if that offends you. I don't even know how that can offend you. You're a person in the trade, but tradesperson is not language that I use. Also, I saw a post in this blew my head off. There was a post I saw, this guy had tiled his floor in pennies. 1p's he did a 1p or 2p. I couldn't actually make out what penny it was. And he was talking about this piece of work that he'd done, and he's tiled his kitchen floor in these pennies. It looked ace. I thought, anyway. Obviously, opinion. And then he put some resin across the top to seal it all. Cleaned all the pennies up and then sealed it all. And I thought it looked ace. There were some great comments, some great people chipping in, and a guy said, how much did it cost you per square metre? And the guy worked it out to 25p. 25p, that'd be nice. 25 quid. It cost me 25 quid in pennies. And then he's obviously had to fit him as well. Now, these 25 quid in pennies, I honestly thought it looked nice. And some bellend jumped on and said, you do know that that's illegal. You're defacing the Queen's... I mean, come on. Come on. It may well be, but what a comment to make. This guy was proud as punch. It was one of these DIY sites. He was proud as punch for these, for laying this floor in pennies. And I thought it looked mint. And just when did we become such a nation of fucking wet wipes, where we have to do stuff like this? Sam, tradies, yeah, that's I suppose I could say tradies. It's just not language that I use. I've been brought up to say tradesman. I've been in the industry for a long time, so tradesman is just a word that I use. It's not intended to offend, it's just a word that I use.
I'm going to talk this morning about making more profit from your refurbishment projects. Do us a favour. Type in the chat where you're watching from, where you're tuning in from. I love this. I love to see where people are and where we're reaching, what parts of the globe that we're reaching. So tell us where you're watching from, firstly. So making more money from your refurb projects is what we do here. That's what we do here. Training property investors to make more profit from their refurb projects is a key part to being in this space. Now, what I see people fall into the trap of all too often, all too frequently, is over-delivering on their projects. Over-delivering. What do I mean by over-delivering? I'm talking about spending 10 grand on a kitchen in a 50k mid-terrace property that you're going to sell for 70. I'm talking about fitting, ripping off pencil round skirting boards and replacing with 7-inch Taurus in the same type of property. I'm talking about renewing all the internal doors in a rental when there was nothing wrong with the others and they needed painting. So many people go into the property space and over-deliver on what they must do in order to return a profit from the projects. We all go into this space to make money. Yeah, you're all I want to make beautiful homes for people, I want to make a difference in the world and all of that. But ultimately, if you weren't making a profit, you wouldn't be doing any of that unless you were a multi-millionaire, of course. Now, if you're in this thing, like me, like everybody else I know, like everybody else who I train, to make profit, you need to get a handle on this. You need to get a handle on what you deliver, what you put in these properties, what works that you do, aligned with your exit strategy and your budget. So in order to make more profit from your projects, stop over delivering. I do love to see finished photos. I genuinely do. It inspires me for design because I do not have an eye for design. I'm that bloke that puts grey on one wall and blue on the other and then wallpaper on the other. And it looks like a fucking humbug when it's done. I don't have an eye for design, so I don't do it. So I do love to see people's finished projects, but when they've spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands to get there and totally over-delivered, it kind of hurts inside. It pains me inside. So my message this morning is, if you want to make more profit from your refurb projects, stop over-delivering. Do what is required in order for you to return a profit. We do that through product selection, through contractor selection, aligned with your exit and your budget. We do that through time management, aligned with your exit and your budget. Remember, the quicker that you do that project, the more effective its delivery, the more profit you're going to make. And And that's what we're all here for, make profit from them projects. First point I want to make this morning is that when you're buying a property to make profit, be that through rental, be it through a sale, be it through a conversion, be it through adding value with an extension to increase the floor area, then the first thing you must understand is that property, that project, is not an asset until the works are complete. It's a liability until the works are complete. So your biggest cost on your project, your biggest cost by far is time. Now that's not to say that we're going to rush a project. We've just got to manage it efficiently, to manage the process efficiently. And the biggest mistake I see people make is this. It's not the amount of time that each individual trade takes to do their elemental piece of work. What I mean by that is Sparky comes in and does his bit. That works package that he's there for, be it 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, whatever, that's not usually where time's lost. The biggest time loss that I see, and I see this in my own business as well, is the transition between trades. Well, Steve, it's the transition between trades. So let's say Sparky's been and done his first fix. You give him 4 days on your programme of works to do it. He finishes it in 5. So he runs over by a day. You've lost a day. But the biggest mistake, the biggest cost on your projects is the transitionary period between that finishing and the plasterer starting, in that little example. We might even wait until Sparky's finished before we even start trying to source a plasterer in the first place. I see that as well. Now that downtime, that lost time, is just adding to the duration that liability remains a liability before it becomes an asset. The final stages, you can see behind us, we're just about 2 days away from finishing this now, but we are looking here, snagging today. I'm here snagging before we pass this back over to the client. So first and foremost, tell us where you're watching from. And secondly, I just want to share with you one of the first things really that I go look for when I go snagging. I have a list that I walk around with so I'm just going to bring you into this room and show you around what we're doing here. This is one of the first things I look for when snagging, and that's the door swing, the door fit. So this internal door, I go straight for the doors, and this is a good one to look for. So when it's shut, you're looking around this edge here, and we're making sure that it's a nice fit in the frame, and we're not fouling on the carpet across the bottom when it opens and closes. So the snags we've picked up on here is the decorators have been, and the decorators have got paint on the hinges which needs to come off on both hinges, so that's one snag. And then the other one is this. You'll watch this when the door gets closed. It's not biting quite, so it needs a bit of an adjustment before that'll close. And you can see that the paint here, you can see the paint line. It's where they've painted the edge on with a brush, and the brush bristles have caught the face of the door, adding this what appears to be a lip, and that needs to come off as well. So these are just little things that we'll check when we're going snagging. This is doors are kind of my thing, and I'm not shippy, but it's one of them things I go for straight away. So I guess they're sort of the easy ones to start with. So we're checking for the finish, we're checking for the gap around the door, and it. That's not closing. It's not there. It's closed now, but it shouldn't be like that. That should close easily. I'm out, and I got sent an opportunity yesterday to come have a look at, which I thought would be a great excuse to bring my baby out and come and have a look at it. You may well know we're looking for barn conversion type properties, and This is the one I've come to look at today. It's a stonking project. It's sat in 9 acres. And something that we'd love to get our teeth into. Love to bring some private investment on board in order to do that. And then maybe on an earn and learn basis for anybody that wanted to be involved. I'm just having a little yomp down this track now to see what else we can see. So I wanted to jump on to, I hate that phrase as well, to just talk about the key things that we're looking at here for this type of project. So many people turn up on a viewing and try and start working out build cost, and it sadly don't really work like that. You can't just turn up to a building like this and start throwing numbers around and guessing. Here's another view of it. It's a stonking project in a beautiful bit of land. I'd love to get on something like this, bring our business in here. There's a house at the back as well, a stone cottage. I think it's been lived in, so I'm not going to mooch up there. But yeah, great property. Nice sized piece of land. But this is the problem. Let me show you the problem, which is what's important about coming to the actual area and viewing it. This is the problem I'll show you. You can probably already hear that now. I guess that's why he's put all these trees up to try and dampen down that noise. But this is the main arterial road that links Lincoln to Scunthorpe. And it's really, really busy. It's quite quiet this morning, but it's a very busy road, this. Now, I don't think I'd want to live that close to a main road like that, if I'm honest. But at the same time, what an amazing build if it was just a bit further back from this road. It's pretty quiet now. Yeah, the sound is an issue, Jason, but it's also just how close it is. You know, dogs get out or something like that, kids get out, you're straight onto the road. I think I want that. It'd be nice if it was at the end of that lane there or something. Like I say, the dwelling house is behind all of that. So I want to talk this morning about something I see more and more about due diligence. Due diligence on trades, builders that you may well be using. Now, if you want to make more profit from your refurbishment projects, you've got to get your supply chain right. Because on those refurbishment projects where you want to make more profit, without a supply chain, your project won't start. And with the wrong supply chain, your project will never finish. But what I see so often is when people get in a hole, when people get in trouble, and they reach out for help or a piece of advice, and the comments that they get back are not helpful. Such things as, you should have done this, or next time you want to do this. That's not advice. That's just, it's poking fun almost. I'm sure they'll take that on board next time, but when someone's in trouble and someone needs some advice, someone needs some help, and someone needs to get out of a hole, then they don't need to hear that. They don't need to hear, you should have done this, you should have done that. They need help of how to get out of a situation. An example might be one I see this morning about a chap's project that's coming to an end, and the radiator was in the wrong place. So the post was, plumbers fitted the radiator in the wrong place. What do I do? And the advice was, you should have given them a plan in the first place. And yes, That's absolutely right, for next time. But that's not going to help them get out of the problem that they're in right now. It's not. So when people are reaching out for help, reaching out for some advice, they're looking for a solution to the problem that they find themselves in right in that moment, not what they need to do next time.